Attorney Olivia Hassan had spent 8 years fighting for tenants' rights, but nothing had prepared her for the moment she would use her legal expertise to finally get justice for what happened to her in college. It started when she received a desperate call from her younger cousin Sarah, who was facing the same nightmare Olivia had endured 10 years earlier. "Olivia, please help me," Sarah sobbed over the phone. "Mr. Thompson changed the locks on my apartment while I was at work. He says I'm behind on rent, but I have receipts showing I paid everything. He won't give me my security deposit back, and now I'm homeless." Mr. Richard Thompson. The name still made Olivia's stomach turn. Her former landlord had destroyed her senior year of college with calculated cruelty disguised as property management. Olivia remembered it perfectly. She'd been a struggling pre-law student, working 2 jobs to pay rent on a tiny studio apartment. Mr. Thompson had seemed reasonable at first, but he quickly revealed his true nature. It had started with harassment. Mr. Thompson would enter her apartment without notice, claiming he was inspecting for damages. He'd nitpick every minor issue: a water stain on the ceiling, a loose doorknob, scuff marks on the floor, and threatened to charge her hundreds in repair fees. "College kids like you think you can trash my property," Mr. Thompson would say, photographing every tiny imperfection. "When you move out, you'll pay for every single thing that's wrong with this place." The worst part was that Mr. Thompson had been strategic about it. He'd wait until finals week when Olivia was too stressed to fight back, then suddenly claim she was behind on rent. When she'd show him receipts proving she paid, he'd claim they were fake. "I don't care what your little papers say," Mr. Thompson had told her during their final confrontation. "You're out, and you're not getting your security deposit back. Consider it payment for all the damage you've done." The illegal eviction had destroyed Olivia's final semester. She'd had to sleep on friends' couches, missed important exams, and nearly didn't graduate. She lost her $2,000 security deposit and had to borrow money from family just to survive. But now, 10 years later, Olivia had become a successful housing attorney specializing in tenant rights, and she just discovered that Mr. Thompson was still running the same scams on vulnerable college students. "Tell me everything," Olivia said to Sarah. "Every detail you can remember." Over the next hour, Sarah described a pattern of abuse that was exactly what Olivia had endured. Mr. Thompson was targeting young tenants, particularly students and minorities, and systematically stealing their security deposits through fake damage claims. "He has a whole system," Sarah explained. "He takes photos of damages that were there when I moved in. Then he claims I caused them and keeps my deposit. When I try to fight it, he threatens to ruin my credit." Olivia's hands clenched into fists. Mr. Thompson hadn't changed at all. He was still the same predatory landlord who took advantage of vulnerable tenants. But Mr. Thompson had made one crucial mistake. He didn't know that one of his former victims had become powerful enough to destroy him. That night, Olivia began the most satisfying investigation of her career. Using her legal resources, she pulled Mr. Thompson's property records going back 15 years. What she found was staggering. Mr. Thompson owned 12 rental properties and had been systematically defrauding tenants for over a decade. He kept security deposits from hundreds of tenants, using the same fake damage claims every time. He's been stealing from college students for years, Olivia realized, printing out financial records that showed deposits he'd never returned. This is organized theft. Olivia began contacting former tenants, tracking down people who'd rented from Mr. Thompson over the years. The stories were identical and heartbreaking. "He kept my entire deposit, claiming I destroyed the carpet," said Marcus, now a teacher. "But the carpet was already stained when I moved in. I had photos, but he said they didn't matter." "He changed my locks while I was at work," said Jennifer, a former nursing student. "When I came home, all my stuff was on the sidewalk. He said I was a troublemaker and that he'd make sure I never rented anywhere again." Olivia documented dozens of similar cases. Mr. Thompson had been running a systematic theft operation targeting students who were too young and inexperienced to fight back. But Olivia's biggest discovery came when she accessed court records. Mr. Thompson had been sued multiple times for illegal evictions, but he'd always settled out of court to avoid creating a public record. He's been paying people to stay quiet, Olivia realized, reading through settlement agreements. But those settlements don't protect him from criminal charges. She found that Mr. Thompson had stolen over $300,000 in security deposits over the years. He'd been using fake contractors to create inflated repair estimates, then keeping the money for himself. Armed with this evidence, Olivia filed a massive class action lawsuit against Mr. Thompson. She had financial records, victim testimonies, and evidence of systematic fraud going back 15 years. "This is one of the largest tenant fraud cases I've ever seen," the judge said during the preliminary hearing. "We're talking about hundreds of victims and systematic theft over more than a decade." On a Tuesday morning, Olivia personally served Mr. Thompson with the lawsuit papers. She coordinated with the sheriff's office to ensure he couldn't hide, and she timed it perfectly to humiliate him in front of his tenants. "Mr. Thompson, you're being sued for systematic tenant fraud, illegal eviction, and theft," Olivia said, handing him the papers. "You're also under investigation for criminal charges, including grand theft and racketeering." Mr. Thompson's confident facade crumbled. "Olivia Hassan, what are you doing here? You have no right to harass me." "I'm an attorney now, Mr. Thompson. I specialize in destroying predatory landlords like you," Olivia replied coldly. "And I have 15 years of evidence proving exactly what kind of criminal you are." The confrontation was witnessed by several of his current tenants, who'd always suspected something was wrong but had been too afraid to speak up. Now they were joining the lawsuit with their own stories of abuse. "He's been stealing from all of us," one tenant said. "We thought we had no choice but to accept it." The investigation expanded when the district attorney discovered that Mr. Thompson had been evading taxes on his stolen deposits. The IRS got involved when they found evidence of unreported income totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars. The trial lasted 8 months. Mr. Thompson was convicted on multiple counts of fraud, theft, and tax evasion. He received 5 years in prison and was ordered to pay back every penny he'd stolen, plus punitive damages. But the real victory came when the court ordered Mr. Thompson to sell all his properties to pay the settlement. Over 400 former tenants received full reimbursement for their stolen deposits, plus interest and damages. Olivia not only got justice for herself, but also helped establish new tenant protection laws in the state. She used her experience to create a legal clinic that provides free services to victims of landlord abuse. A year after Mr. Thompson's conviction, Olivia stood in her new office, looking at thank you letters from former tenants who'd finally received justice. She found her old rental receipts, evidence of her payments that Mr. Thompson had claimed were fake. "I never forgot what you did to me," Olivia said, filing the case documents. "I just waited until I was strong enough to fight back." Mr. Thompson had thought he was untouchable, using his position to systematically steal from vulnerable tenants. But he'd underestimated one victim who refused to forget and had worked her way into a position of power. As the sun set over the city, Olivia realized that Mr. Thompson's abuse had shaped her into someone who could protect other tenants. She turned her trauma into a weapon for justice, and now she was using it to save people who were suffering like she had. Mr. Thompson was serving 5 years in prison, his properties seized, his reputation destroyed. The man who'd spent decades telling tenants they had no rights had lost everything. He'd spent 15 years systematically stealing from young people, thinking he was untouchable. But he'd underestimated one tenant who refused to stay defeated and had the legal power to fight back.